Cassie Ridenauer. I'm the chair of the Ohio Tree Farm Committee this year, and I'd like to introduce ourselves, and then we'll head into the awards presentations and a presentation on this year's Tree Farmer of the Year. So first I want to comment a little bit about Ohio Tree Farm. As Katie alluded to early this morning, most forests are family owned, and in Ohio that's 70%. Ohio families own 5.6 million acres of Ohio forests. So we're a big constituency in the forestry management sector. Most Ohioans actually, only 12 to 17% of Ohio forest owners with more than 10 acres have a management plan, and a tiny fraction of those are certified. Our certified tree farms make up about 2.8% of Ohio's forested acreage. And so this is who we are. These are our statistics as of this month. The latest ones that we have, we get a monthly report at the end of the month from National. We have about 1,226 active tree farms with 1,477 active tree farmers. And then we have this pioneer and prospect status for people that are interested in getting into the fold. So, but our certified tree farms cover about 164,000 acres of sustainably managed forests. Every year, and this is one of our highlights every year, we get to give awards for Tree Farmers of the Year. And on these next few slides, you can see these. We have a webpage that'll be in this presentation, but on our next few slides, I've got just a list of some of the incredible folks who have won those awards over the past years. So you can see this list, as I said, on our website, but every year we get to give away the Tree Farmer of the Year award, and it's always a big delight to recognize people who are doing wonderful things with their woodlands. I think we might have a couple of those past Tree Farmers of the Year on the line today. We've got, I think, Paul Meckling, Ron Ott, and maybe, did I hear Scott Galloway was on here somewhere? But usually if we're having a real party, we have everybody stand up. But otherwise, so glad to have you folks here, and I hope that we're talking to some of the future Tree Farmers of the Year as well. And then here shortly, we'll be doing a great unveiling of this year's Tree Farmer of the Year, and you'll get to hear about some incredible forest management that's going on with this year's Tree Farmer of the Year. So this has gone all the way back to 1974, and I think Brad told me that we may also have a couple of the next generation. Do we have one of the donors on the line? Maybe the sons of the 1986 Tree Farmers of the Year. So tree farm is a life's work. Raising a forest is a life's work, and we're glad to see these things going on generation to generation, and we just want to recognize those who have come before us. We also honor Inspectors of the Year. We've been doing that at least this century. We've been able to find the records, and we'll be giving an award shortly for this year's Inspector of the Year. But we have a lot of wonderful folks, including our own Jeremy Scherf, who was a national Inspector of the Year, was recognized nationally for all the good works that he does. I'm not going to get into it too much. Suffice it to say that he was all choked up about it. So anyway, we have Inspectors of the Year, and that's another delight to give awards to folks who do great works helping us manage our woods. Our committee, we're all on the list on we have a page on the OFA website. This is who's on our committee, and you can see that we have a cross section of tree farmers, foresters, we have consulting foresters, we have service foresters, we have industry foresters, and then we have some specialists. So this year we've been able to add, for example, Marnie Tichnell, who's a wildlife specialist. We have soil and water specialists. So we have a great cross section of people who can weigh in on a lot of important aspects of forestry management. This is our areas and our area chairs for our tree farmers. This map's a little out of date, but I think this is still legit. But this is who you would turn to get your tree farm inspected, or who might be the first one to come out. If you say, put your hand up and say, hey, I want to be a tree farmer. We have area chairs that coordinate our inspectors, and we have about 100 inspectors qualified in Ohio right now. So somebody would come out and look at your forest and make sure you're doing good works. And then you can become if you have a good management plan, you're doing good works, you can become a tree farmer. Some of the things that we do, we did a virtual Tree Farm of the Year tour last year. We were unable to meet last year because of COVID-19, so it's on YouTube, and this is the link for that. The link to that is also on our website. We are planning a live tour there for 2021. And if you were on yesterday, I think it was Tom Macy did a good presentation on oak wilt, which is an important concern for forest owners. The Tree Farm of the Year from 2020, they have some oak wilt, and they've done some excellent oak wilt mitigation work. So if you can join us, we don't have a date yet, but watch our site. We're planning a live tour, probably August timeframe in 2021. The Mecklings, our own Paul and Meckling, are in contention for the 2020 National Tree Farmers of the Year. And Paul Meckling was awarded the prestigious Cardinal Award from the Ohio Division of Natural Resources. Ryan Klester, our 2020 Inspector of the Year, was nominated for a National Inspector, and the Brammer video was his brainchild. And then, of course, this morning you saw our own tree farmer, Jim Savage, had Ohio's first ever privately done prescribed burn, probably at least the first ever legitimate privately done prescribed burn for oak management on private property. So we got a lot going on with Tree Farm, and we're glad to have you. So our activities that we do every year, we do the Tree Farmer of the Year tour. We do an education program at the Paul Bunyan Festival. So the first weekend in October every year is the Paul Bunyan Festival. And if you get onto the site for that, or you get your flyer as you drive into the Guernsey County Fairgrounds, we do an education program. So things similar to what you saw this weekend, and exciting things like with live rattlesnakes and stuff. We have a great education program we do every year. And then we do our annual meeting. So those are some of the things that we try to do to promote sustainable forestry. And then communication-wise, we have a Facebook page, Ohio Tree Farmers. We have the Ohio Woodland Journal. And the Ohio Woodland Journal, also on the Ohio Forest Tree Farmers page, you can find past issues of the Woodland Journal. So Dave Apsley mentioned earlier that we had an oak management issue. I think that was maybe the fall 2020 issue. So anyway, you can get the past revisions of the Woodland Journal off of our website if you want to view it as a PDF, or you can subscribe. So that's some of the stuff that the Tree Farm Committee of Ohio tries to do. This is a clock and an award that is not on your list. And this award is for our own Tom Mills, who's our past chair. I apologize that it's taken a year to give him this award. We had this for him last year, but in all the excitement, we didn't get it given out at last year's OFA annual meeting. Tom is a latecomer to our Tree Farm Committee. He joined in 2011. He was recruited at the Paul Bunyan Show by our own Walt Lang, who recruited so many of us. In that short time, Tom has cast a long shadow. He is the advertising manager of the Ohio Woodland Journal. He's our awards chair. He enthusiastically gets up early at about 4 a.m. so we can do flapjacks for lumberjacks at the Paul Bunyan Festival. He has really pulled in the outreach with our woodland interest groups so that they've connected to Tree Farm. So we've got them connected through the Woodland Journal and all of our emailings. And this Landowner Day is Tom's brainchild. So Tom, we have this beautiful Ohio clock for you for your work as the chair. Tom is a great advocate for Tree Farm. In a year where we really had our wings clipped as a committee by COVID, Tom has been relentlessly warbling about forestry management. So congratulations, Tom. Tom,
Thank you very much, Cassie. Thank you, one and all. I certainly appreciate the recognition.
Great.
I appreciate all your help today, folks.
Great. All right. I'm going to stop sharing now and turn it over to Adam Beekler, who's going to start on into our awards.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, I took over as program coordinator for the Tree Farm Committee from Joe Poopery, who did it for 15 plus years. I took over last year, so I got big shoes to fill. But the first award we're going to give out is the 2021 Tree Farm Inspector of the Year. And I want to preface this by saying, or just making a general statement about inspectors in general. I want to remind everybody that being a tree farm inspector is a voluntary position. And, you know, a lot of foresters, we have 100 foresters and people with forestry related backgrounds who do tree farm inspections in the state of Ohio. And I want to thank all of them. You know, the program wouldn't be possible without all the inspectors dedicating their time to the program. But our 2021 Tree Farm Inspector of the Year, he's currently employed by the Vinton County Soil and Water Conservation District. He was an Eagle Scout and developed interest in the woods early on in life. He attended Hawking College and Ohio University, where he began his career with the USDA as a summer seasonal employee, doing forest ecology research at the Vinton Experimental Forest. After he graduated, he accepted a position with the Ohio State University as a research assistant, doing forest ecology and wildlife and silvicultural research. He became involved with the tree farm program in 2018 when he became a certified inspector. He was hired at the Vinton County Soil and Water Conservation District in 2017. In that short period of time, he's had a lasting impression on a good many landowners in the area that he covers. So I'm going to, on behalf of the Ohio Tree Farm Committee, congratulate David Runkle as our 2021 Tree Farm Inspector of the Year. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. I'm not one for speeches, so I'll just say there's a lot of words in my head I could use to describe how I feel. Honored is the one I'm going to settle on. I want to thank whoever nominated me and whoever helped me win this award. I want to thank all the resource professionals that have helped me along my career to get where I'm at today and hopefully continue to help me out in the future. And I'd also like to thank the private landowners that allowed me to go out on their property and work with me during the weird year of 2020. So in summary, I'm extremely honored and I can't thank you guys enough. And I am looking forward to putting my head down, looking to the future, and spring is finally sprung. So I'm pretty excited to get out in the field.
Thanks, David. Okay, on to the next award. So this is an award that the Ohio Tree Farm Committee doesn't give out all that often, although I'm sure there's others who may have deserved it in the past. It's reserved for individuals who went above and beyond in their support and dedication to the Ohio Tree Farm Program over a good many years, even decades. It's a Lifetime Achievement Award that represents outstanding commitment to the Tree Farm Program and to the Tree Farm Committee. This individual doesn't know that he's receiving this award, so I'm going to announce his name and then give a brief description of his career and then let him maybe say a word or two. We found out this year that he's retiring and discontinuing inspecting tree farms, so we thought it might be appropriate to recognize him for everything that he's put into this program over the last 20 years. But this Lifetime Achievement Award is on behalf of the Ohio Tree Farm Committee, has been given to Dean Berry. And I'm just going to talk briefly about him and let you know some of the, some of the things he's done over the past 20 years in dedication to this program. He has a degree from Hawking College in forestry. Right out of college, he was hired by AEP, where he spent his entire career. He worked his way up to be the forestry and recreation supervisor in the real estate asset management division. I'm not certain how many years he was at AEP, but it had to be pushing nearly 40. During that time, he obtained a bachelor's degree in business management along the way. He started with the tree farm program in 1999 and became a certified inspector in 2000, when he was instrumental in getting the Ohio Tree Farm of the Year nomination for AEP, who was for a number of years Ohio's largest tree farm. Over the years, Dean completed approximately 200 tree farm inspections as an inspector. To put that into perspective, most foresters or most inspectors do, 2 or 3 inspections a year. So over 20 years, Dean averaged over 10 inspections a year, which is absolutely incredible. That's a lot of time to dedicate to the program. He was the 2005 and 2009 Ohio Tree Farm Inspector of the Year. In 2010, he was the North Central Region Inspector of the Year, which is, I believe, covers 13 states. He was the inspector training facilitator for a long period of time. He was an area chair on the Ohio Tree Farm Committee, where he served for a number of years. So he's been involved with the tree farm program and on the Ohio Tree Farm Committee in multiple ways for a long period of time. And we're going to miss you, Dean. We appreciate everything you've done over the years. So thank you for the years of service and the dedication and the volunteer time you've given to the program. We really appreciate it.
So we're going to try something. Dean texted me and told me he doesn't have audio on his computer or video, but I have him on the phone. So I'm going to try to see if we can patch it through. We'll see if it'll work. All right, Dean, give it a shot.
Okay. I'm not sure how this is going to work.
You guys okay?
Thank you all very much. Yeah, I really didn't expect this. I've had a great time, and I'm kind of scared that I actually been doing it all that long. Now I feel old. But thank you very much. Like I said, there's a good group of young inspectors out there. I love it. Tree Farm Committee in Ohio is in great hands. So yeah, I'm just stepping back a little bit. So I'm going to enjoy my tree farm now. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Dean.
Yep. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Dean.
That worked better than I thought it would.
I think we're on to Steve Mcginnis now for the Tree Farm of the Year, right? Take it away, Steve.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. All right, I need to share my screen. Let's see if that works. Can you see? Hold on a second. Let me get. Is that working? Anybody?
Yeah,
that works good.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you. All right. So our first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate being invited here. I nominated the 2021 Tree Farmer of the Year this year. My name is Steve Mcginnis, by the way. I'm a service forester for the Ohio Division of Forestry. I've been a service forester for 14 years. So that means about 14 years ago, after about a month on the job, I received a telephone call from a tree farmer in Logan County who said that he and I need to meet as soon as possible. His name was Robert Walker, and he called his property Gray Oaks Tree Farm. I could tell immediately that he was extremely passionate about forest management, and needless to say, we hit it off pretty quick. He had purchased in 1987 7 acres of an old tree plantation that in Logan County was known as the Rowland Family Tree Farm, or the Rowland Family Tree Plantation, which was 350 acres of tree plantings that were put in and designed. Well, it was designed by J.A. Gibbs, who designed the tree planting plan in 1957, which was the same year he was the chair of the Ohio Society of American Foresters, interestingly enough. He had the Rowland family plant 350 acres with about 250,000 seedlings. So what that meant was he had them kind of overwhelm the landscape with as many trees as he could. Now my pages aren't moving. There we go. Robert is a guy who really loves his signage. He's crazy about the history of this area. They planted their last tree in 1964, the Rowland family did. Now, he only bought 7 acres originally in 1987. He immediately contacted his service forester and tried to get some advice on how to manage this property, because it had been pretty well neglected ever since in the 1980s. US Route 33 was built into a 4-lane bypass around the town of Bell Fountain, where he's just to the east of that. And that 4-lane highway split up the plantation in pretty grand fashion. Here we go, right here. So in the boundary in yellow is Robert's property. That is his 26 acres. And you can kind of see around the boundary there what was planted into Norway spruce and Austrian pine. Obviously, that's the green in your aerial photo there. Most of it was planted to red and white oak, though. It was almost solid red and white oak, and some of it appeared to be planted on 3-foot centers. Some of these acres probably had over 1,000 trees per acre, maybe even as many as 1,400 trees per acre. This is Robert's stand map. As you can see, stand A, all hardwoods. To the west, it is pretty wet, and we had a lot of volunteer ash come in. Robert didn't realize how many ash trees he had until they all started dying in 2005 from the emerald ash borer. But plenty of volunteers came in. He got there in '87 when these trees were just about 30 years old and had not had any management done to them since the day they were put in the ground almost. So there were a lot of issues that he had to address. Number one being the honeysuckle layer that was already in there. And remember, this is the late '80s. So you had quite a few acres there infested with pretty small honeysuckle at that time. And in the mid '80s, honeysuckle wasn't quite the issue that it is now. But Robert has found every time that he opens up the overstory, the honeysuckle comes back. Stand B there, obviously, again, is the conifers that were planted back in the late 50s, early 60s, and that was solid Norway spruce. Once again, some of those seem to be planted with 3 feet between the trees, 10 feet between the rows. Not all of it was planted to spruce to the west there. There were some other pockets of hardwoods. You can see the wetland there that actually Robert, that was a wet area that he built a dike on the east side to kind of fill in the area. Once the ash all started dying, he decided he would go ahead and try to make that kind of a wetland area. Because if we're being honest, Robert's #1 objective is definitely wildlife habitat. Tree health, producing quality trees, and someday possibly timber these are secondary and tertiary objectives of his, but his primary concern is probably wildlife habitat, if we're being honest. So you can see that dividing line between A and B, and that's what it looks like on the ground right now. You can see the red oak directly up above that Norway spruce. You may think that, if they were that tight in there, they'd probably be stunted. But frankly, those were some of his nicest rows where they come together. This would not have likely been our approach for reforestation nowadays, but it frankly worked for J.A. Gibbs and the Rowland family to kind of overwhelm the landscape with that many trees. And again, it probably wouldn't be our approach, but it worked pretty well for Robert. Monoculture didn't seem to be a concern back in the late 50s, early 60s for J.A. Gibbs. There were a lot of rows that were planted to solid white oak, a lot of rows that were planted to solid red oak, and again, 10 acres of solid Norway spruce. So that wasn't a large concern, but once again, it did seem to work. There's still plenty of thinning that needs to be done, but every time he has some sort of a opening in the canopy, the honeysuckle really does come back pretty heavy, and he's kind of going slow with the thinning at present. In between some of these rows were some fairly wet areas. This was extremely rough pasture ground. You know, this property is at 1,490 feet above sea level, which is the tallest tree farm in the state. He's higher than any other tree farm in Ohio. And he's about a half a mile from the tallest point in Ohio, which is Campbell Hill at 1,550 feet. This picture here is of the Vernal Pool. This is a natural vernal pool. It was not created. It was kind of restored, but it has naturalized buttonbush, naturalized sycamore, and funny enough, it even has naturalized bald cypress that he swears that he didn't plant. That probably came from other areas of the farm where he did plant some bald cypress. There's Robert and Catherine. That's his girlfriend, Catherine. There, she's the workhorse there on the farm. She does a lot of the work with the TSI, a lot of girdling of trees and a lot of spraying. And some of you may recognize that guy on the left. That's Jeremy Scherf. Here we have the wetland that he restored. Again, you can kind of see some bald cypress in there. There was even Kentucky coffee tree in there. Some of it is still able to make it, even though their feet are pretty wet. He's got a lot of good wildlife habitat going on in there. He's really proud of that wetland. And it actually was put in with the help of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Partners for Fish and Wildlife, private lands biologists that came in, and they put thousands of dollars towards this project. There you can see some of the white oak that are dying. You know, he's girdled some of them are going on their own, but he is finally getting control of that forest floor and being able to open up the canopy a little bit. These folks work constantly on their woodlands. This is what they do with their nights and weekends, and it doesn't seem to ever stop. They approach every year with specific goals in mind, and he sends me work logs annually with photos of their progress. Here's Catherine with some of the Walker grandchildren. This is the picture he sent me back in the early 2000s, or mid 2000s, after the ice storm. The shrubs really started to come back heavy, and that's where you enter in with equipment and large power sprayers. He doesn't spare any expense. This guy, he puts a lot of his time, his effort, and his financial resources into this property. He even sends me updates on his chaps when he gets tears in his chaps and his chainsaw kicks back on him. He wants me to know about it. There again, more of the honeysuckle that continues to be an issue. Logan County probably has some of the worst honeysuckle infestations in the state by my estimation, and he's dealing with it constantly. But frankly, he has pretty well eradicated. This is an old picture. When we were out there with the tree farm committee, I said the first person that finds a bush honeysuckle gets a prize. Jeremy Scherf did find one, but we didn't see very many. He does an excellent job. He's actually taught me that you can eradicate honeysuckle from a 26-acre tree farm if you try hard enough. I've kind of been of the mind that you likely cannot eradicate this shrub, but he's taught me that you can with hard work. This property has set him up with one kind of management disaster or a management crisis after another. Where the ash had come in very heavily into the Norway spruce, the plan was to let the ash outcompete the spruce and let it go back to hardwoods. Well, in 2005, that all changed because we found the first emerald ash borer in Logan County on his property. So that meant it was time to start taking the ash out, and the plan immediately changed to catering to the Norway spruce and trying to thin them out and keep as many of them healthy as they could. That is a picture of what that looks like here in the snow, and there's nothing quite like walking through a solid Norway spruce stand in the snow. It's kind of a surreal moment when you're walking through there. You don't feel like you're in Ohio at all. In fact, I've said a number of times that this seems like the largest 26 acres in the world. As you walk from the west side to the east side, you go through some wet areas of some vernal pools, lots of rows of red and white oak, and then you walk into the spruce, come out the other side, and there's another wetland. It seems much larger than 26 acres. There's Catherine falls on the woodland edge, and in the understory, this is one of her favorite things to do, is go out and find some of these naturalized species that are coming back in, or regenerating species that are coming back in. She's found American hazelnut, of course, spice bush, again, the button bush, the pawpaws. Things are really starting to come in that you would expect to see in a native woodland understory. And they're reaping the benefits from all the good stuff they're doing out there. I mean, they have a lot of recreation going on out there. Robert is, again, big into the wildlife part of it. They love their acorn crops. When they get big acorn crops, they send me pictures of them. They are really proud of how much habitat they're providing out there. There's the man of the hour, Robert Walker, with one, I think he named that deer Blitzen. So that's Bob and Blitzen. Robert is really big on allowing young hunters to come out. There have been a number of teenagers in the Bell Fountain area that shot their first deer on Gray Oaks Tree Farm. So he gets a lot of joy out of that, and that's something that he's kind of passionate about, is getting young folks out there into the woods and getting them hunting. Turkey season is another big thing for him. He enjoys turkey season as well. There's a good shot of the wetland that he kind of restored and created with that dike, and got a lot of amphibious life, got a lot of reptiles out there, and he enjoys watching them. There's one thing that's kind of interesting about this property, is that it can grow almost anything, even though it is extremely rough pasture ground. The Norway spruce have naturalized in the area, and he's actually made a small business out of it, selling to his neighbors. They have Norway spruce coming into the open areas everywhere you look. I mean, everywhere you look, there are young Norway spruce. And I've heard before that Norway spruce are invasive. Frankly, I'll take it. If I can have that over the Amur honeysuckle, I will take Norway spruce anytime. They actually got involved in this in a pot system where you bury the outer pot and the inner pot can come out of there fairly easily, and it keeps the roots from freezing. And they've done some fairly decent sales of these Norway spruce that they have relatively little money in. So it's kind of been a neat little endeavor to watch them be able to sell to their friends and family. It's kind of been, again, it's kind of a nice surprise. You don't see that very often. There again, there's Catherine. She's working hard, transplanting trees. There's Robert, the man of the hour, transplanting trees. They get out there and they work it. They enjoy it. One interesting thing that goes on out there every year, Catherine is a elementary school teacher. She teaches 5th grade in Bell Fountain, Ohio. And every year they invite all the 5th graders in Bell Fountain out to Gray Oaks to have a science field day. And they didn't do it in 2020, of course, but for 6 years before that, they had every fifth grader out, and they do a science field day where they talk about food webs and natural resources and conservation, wildlife management, forest management. They have, usually there's representatives out there from Division of Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, of course, Division of Forestry, and even some private vendors show up out there to get some stuff done. Teach the kids lots of different natural resource subjects. There again, these are more of his signs. He is big on signage. I'm sure he will be thrilled with his sign that he's going to get, with his shovel that he's going to get for being the Tree Farmer of the Year. I think he's going to be thrilled with getting a little recognition. I've actually got a short video of him saying thank you. He sends his regrets. He was not able to make it. Situations beyond his control dictated that he could not be here today, but he does send his appreciation and his regrets that he could not make it here. Gray Oaks is a really unique piece of property. Once again, I feel like it's the biggest 26 acres in the world. It's probably not your typical tree farm of the year here in Ohio, being that small, but this year's unique circumstance where we weren't really going to be able to have a tour on his property. It provided an opportunity where we could get him recognized for all the good hard work that he's done, and the hard work that Catherine has done as well. So this circumstance with COVID-19 kind of allowed that to occur for him. This is his award that they will receive, Robert and Catherine, for Gray Oaks tree plantation, Gray Oaks Tree Farm. That was sent to me by Brad Perkins earlier this morning, and I think he's going to be thrilled with that. I appreciate it, and I'm sure he appreciates it. Here is the short video, and we'll see if we can get, it's very grainy, and I apologize for the visual quality, but I think you can hear in his voice that he's very excited about the recognition.
Hello from Gray Oaks Tree Farm. I'm Catherine Eastman.
And I'm Robert Walker. We greatly appreciate being chosen as the 2021 Tree Farmer of the Year. We've been working hard on this project, and we're going to continue to work hard on it. And it is truly an honor to be recognized. We greatly appreciate it. We also want to give a big shout out to our foresters that have been a big part of this. Thank you.
So you see there that he is very grateful, and you can hear him, foresters that he's worked with over the years. The foresters that he's worked with are names that you all know. You've got Kathy Smith, Jim Bartlett, Cotton Randall, and some guy named Steve Mcginnis. So he's worked with a lot of us, and he's really a forester's dream because he listens to everything you say. They ask a lot of great questions, and they take everything you say to heart, and they really, you can tell they care. So with that, that's really all I have for the presentation. It's my pleasure to recognize Gray Oaks Tree Farm as the 2021 Ohio Tree Farm of the Year. I appreciate the opportunity, and